Hi, it's Jez here from Nigezza.co.uk. Thank you for joining me today. So I'm doing a colour challenge today, and our colours are Bumblebee, Fresh Freezer, Polished Pink, Blushing Bride and Garden Green. So I'm going to use the Wildflower path. So there's lots of nice greenery and you can do the flowers separately in different colours. So I'm taking some basic white and I just want a quarter sheet. That's what I'm going to do my stamping on. So we're going to start with the grass there. It's a little stamp, but you can stamp it all the way across the page, which is what I'm going to do. As it's a photopolymer stamp, I am going to use a stamp mat, and I'm going to take the garden green ink and I'm just going to start stamping. So I'm just going to stamp there in the centre, and then I'm going to go second generation slightly off to the left, third generation off to the right. Actually, it was probably in the other directions. I don't know me left from right. So I'm lining up the first stamp so it is next to where the first generation is, and then just do a little bit either side. I thought that might give the grassy scene a bit of depth. If you don't like that look, don't do it. But I thought that was quite nice. So whilst I've got the green out, I'm going to add the flower stems, and I'm going to use both of them so that we've got variation of flowers going across the sort of field that I'm creating. So just mounting them up, and I'm just going to do them alternating across the page. So I'm sort of looking, yeah, I might do it a little bit lower so it's going off at the bottom, because I don't want the flowers to be too far up. So excuse my head. Yeah, just putting them next to each other, and then I'm going to go back to number one, just to so I'm kind of just doing by eye in terms of the spacing. If I was that bothered, I'd have done one in the middle first. I'm not that much of a perfectionist when it comes to this sort of thing, and bear in mind that this is going to be trimmed down ever so slightly when I've finished with it. So there are my 5 stems. So now I'm going to do the flowers, and it is one of the sets of flowers is 2-step stamping. So I'm going to mount the 2 that are 2-step. So the bigger one needs to be in a lighter colour than the little one. So I can do it in either 2 separate colours, or you can do it first generation and second generation. But there I'm deciding on Blushing Bride and Polished Pink. So as Blushing Bride's the lightest, I'm stamping that first. And you can line up the flowers, again, excuse my head, on the bits on the stem, like so. So that's the bigger background flower. So the smaller one is going on top, and so I'm just lining that up again and again, excuse the head, and there we get our 2 shades of pink there in that flower. And the stamps that go on the other stem are slightly smaller, and it is only 1 stamping there, but you could stamp twice if you wanted to. I'm just going to do it the once, and I'm going to stamp it in the bumblebee there. So with this particular stamp, it doesn't appear to be, it doesn't line up as well as the other, so it's sort of a little bit sort of random. So I'm just deciding where I want to stamp these florals, and stepping back, looking, do I like it? Yeah, that'll do. So now we're going to do the same 2-step on the next stem, just giving them a clean, because I'm changing the colour. So this time I'm going Fresh Freezer, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp first generation first with the smallest of the flowers, and then I'm going to stamp off the bigger one. So now this is going to be lighter, excuse my head again, and that's how we get the 2 tones there of the Fresh Freezer. So now we're going to stamp the smaller stem flowers, and so I'm cleaning that off because I'm changing colours again to use the Blushing Bride here on that stem. So I'm incorporating all the colours of this colour challenge. We could use minimum 3. I've chosen to use all 5. That was also an option. And now I'm thinking about the last flower and what colours to use on that. So I am deciding I'm going to do a little bit of experiment. So I've got the bumblebee there, and I'm going to stamp that down as the sort of lighter background, and then for the smaller one that's going to be a bit darker, I'm going to bring in, I can't remember what colour I'm bringing in. There it is. I think that must be polished pink. So I'm going to put the polished pink on top and let's just having a go, seeing how it looked like. And yeah, that seems fine to me. So so yeah, different colours available there. So now we're just going to trim it to the size of my card mat, which is a 1/4 of an inch shorter and thinner. I'm taking a little bit off each side because I want to sort of keep those flowers pretty central. And I'm just going to rub over with my bone folder the sort of cut edges to make sure that they're sort of flat. And I'm going to be sticking this on to a thick basic white base, so that's just standard sheet cut in half. Rather than a coloured background, I thought it would look quite nice on a white background, just something a bit different. So I've got the fresh freesia ribbon there. I'm kind of matching it up with the flower in the middle. I thought that gave it nice balance. And so here's a Connie Stewart tip here. I'm going to tie the bow around the stamp block, and then that enables you to tie a bow quite easily. And then we're just going to snip the back of the ribbon afterwards, so it's then ready to stick down on the card with a bow in the middle. So there we are, there's me adjusting my bow to be the size that I want. And then I'm thinking about where to cut it, and sort of imagining where I want the bow on at the front of the card, which will give me an indication of where it needs cutting. So there I am looking. I kind of want it to be in that position, so I'm cutting, so I've got a shorter end at that side and a longer end at the other for sticking down, so that my bow can go there. I maybe cut it slightly wrong, but it'll work. So I'm going to take a glue dot and I'm going to stick the bow where I want it, so that is secure before I do the tails. I just found that the easiest way of doing it. So then I'm going to get some Stamp and Seal, and I'm just going to put some of that on each edge of the card, ready to fold the ribbon round, so that is in place before I stick the mat to the card base, because obviously I want it to be tucked in and not seen. So that is that. And then I'm thinking about how I'm going to cut it, stick it, and I changed my mind and decided to pop it up. So I'm going to put lots of dimensionals over the back and have it raised up to give it a little bit of extra dimension and extra pop. So I'm sticking quite a few dimensionals on because it's a whole card panel, and I think it works better to give it some support. And then I try it out and go, no, needs a bit more. It is still sinking down a bit. So yeah, that will do for me. So now just going round, I like to press the centre of the dimensional in with my nail, and then that that sort of draws up the sides, so you're easy to sort of grab hold of and pull off. These Stampin' Dimensionals are brilliant sticky pads, so easy to use, and it's not hard to remove the backs. So there I am, just trying to get rid of those hexagons, which just tend to get everywhere in the house. I don't know how they migrate everywhere around the house, but they just do. Stick to the bottom of your slippers, to your top, whatever. So now what we need is a sentiment. So there's a nice happy birthday and a nice thank you to use. I didn't want to make a thank you card, so I thought I'd make a happy birthday. So it is quite a long one, and I kind of thought it would be better if I had the happy on top of the birthday. And as it is a photopolymer stamp, that is not too difficult to do because you can see through it. So I'm sticking with the Fresh Freesia because that's what I've used as the accent colour. Bringing in my stamp mat. So stamping down the happy birthday. Really am convincing myself that that's not what I want. So there I am, just stamping the birthday. I'm going to put the happy on top. And as I can see through, I can place it. So that is perfect. So I'm deciding on using my double over punch to punch it out, but that is a very thin scrap and it wasn't quite big enough to do. So not to worry, we'll just do it again. So this time I'm going to be a little bit more careful and actually stamp off and make sure the stamp pad's sort of cleaner. So there we go again, stamping birthday, stamp it all off. You can always clean it with Stamp and Scrub if you want. So the two P's tails go down into where the words are there, between the T and the H and the D. The up ones and the down ones sort of nestle in there together quite nicely. So need to cut a bit of that card down. There we go. Got it in the centre. Quite happy. And it's a nice size for that little oval punch. So we can stick it on there. So we can use a little bit of Fresh Freesia and punch out the little matting to go around it, so it's all nicely matched up. So just get rid of a bit of my rubbish, and then we're going to stick the white oval to the Fresh Freesia back and stick it on the card. So just working out where I think I might want it. I always prefer things on the right hand side, but I'm just still having a little look. I'm now thinking that I would have preferred to have the ribbon in a different place, but I'm committed, and so now I just have to work with what I've done. So then I'll decide that actually, yeah, over on the side there, get the bow towards the edge. That will do nicely. Trying to turn my bow slightly so that it looks a little bit better. So going to stick the background down because I'm actually going to sandwich the ribbon in between the two bits of cardstock so that it fits a little bit better. So get that stuck down, and then that one can stick over the ribbon, and that will, I think, make it sit nice. So I'm going to use dimensionals to pop it up slightly. This means this card would have to go large letter if I was posting it, because it's got two heights of dimensional on it, but that's not a problem, and I could always hand deliver it anyway if I give it to somebody local. And that is my card for the colour challenge for the Stampin' Inspirations blog hop. All the details can be found down below in the description bar, links to my blog, links to my shop if you wish to purchase any of these things.